Hi everyone, Sarah Swanell here. I've put together this video to help you better understand how to complete Interpersonal Effectiveness Worksheet 7, Troubleshooting Interpersonal Effectiveness Skills. This worksheet goes with Interpersonal Effectiveness Handout 9. The worksheet was designed to be used for when your interpersonal skills are not working. The worksheet is 2 pages long and is broken up into 6 sections, each with a question you can ask yourself about the skills you've been trying. The first question is, do you have the skills that you need? The second question is, do you know what you want out of the interaction? The third question, are your short-term goals getting in the way of your long-term goals? Number 4, are your emotions getting in the way of using your skills? Number 5, are your worries, assumptions, and myths about interpersonal effectiveness getting in the way? And 6, is the environment more powerful than your skills? So let's go through each question one by one. First, ask yourself if you have the skills needed for whatever problem you're trying to solve. Do you know how to be skillful? Do you know how to say what you want to say? And did you follow the skill instructions to the letter? So for example, think about if you know the steps needed for getting what you want, maintaining the relationship, and maintaining your self-respect. Have you memorized the acronyms Dear Man Give Fast? And do you know what the letters stand for? Look at handouts 5, 6, and 7 if you're not sure. Also think about the 10 factors that help you decide how intensely to ask for something and say no. You can find these in handout 8. And also ask yourself if you're walking the middle path in your relationship. Are you being dialectical? Are you validating yourself and the other person? And are you using behavior change strategies? You can review these skills in handouts 14 to 22. If you decide that, yes, I actually do have the skills that I need, then you can click yes, and you can move on to question 2. However, if you're not sure whether you have the skills, or you're not sure if you know how to say what you want to say, or if you're not sure if you followed the instructions properly, you can write out again what you want to say before you say it. You can reread the instructions. You can get coaching from somebody that you trust. And you can practice your script with a friend or in front of the mirror. If you try this again, you can then record whether it worked or whether it didn't work. Question 2. It's pretty common to feel confused about whether your priority is getting what you want, maintaining the relationship, or maintaining your self-respect. Ask yourself if you're undecided about what you really want. Maybe you're ambivalent about your priorities. Maybe you're having trouble balancing asking for too much versus not asking for anything. Or maybe you're having trouble balancing saying no to everything versus giving in to everything. And ask yourself if fear or shame might be getting in the way of knowing what you really want. It's common to be fearful of rejection and to feel shame when asking for what you want. If you decide that, yes, I do really know what I want in this interaction, then you don't need to go forward and complete the rest of section 2. You can go to section 3. However, if you're not sure what you really want in this interaction, then you can do a pros and cons to compare the different objectives to get some more clarity about what you want. You can also use emotion regulation skills to reduce fear and shame. So try out these 2 strategies and then record whether it helped or it didn't help. Question 3, are my short-term goals getting in the way of my long-term goals? Ask yourself if you're prioritizing feeling better now over what is best in the long term, or perhaps emotion mind is in control. If you decide that, no, my short-term goals are not actually getting in the way of my long-term goals, then you can go on to number 4. However, if you feel as though now is winning out over getting what you want, then you can do a pros and cons, comparing your short-term and your long-term goals. You can also wait until another time when you're not in emotion mind to try the skill again. So try out these 2 strategies and then record whether the skill worked the next time or whether it didn't. Question 4. Are my emotions getting in the way of using my skills? Ask yourself if you're too upset to use your skills or if your emotions are so high that you're over your skills breakdown point. This is the point where you can't think clearly enough in order to use your skills, and you need to balance your nervous system before you can actually start to use your skills again. If you think that no, your emotions are not getting in the way of using your skills, then you can continue on to question 5. If, however, you are too upset to use your skills, or you're over your skills breakdown point, then try the tip skills from distress tolerance. You can also try self-soothing crisis survival skills before the interaction to get yourself calmer. You can do mindfulness of current emotions and refocus your attention completely on the present objective. Try these 4 strategies and then record whether it helped this time or whether it didn't. Number 5, are worries, assumptions, and myths about interpersonal effectiveness getting in the way? Ask yourself if thoughts about negative consequences are getting in the way, such as thinking they won't like me or she'll think I'm stupid. Are thoughts about whether or not you deserve to get what you want getting in the way? Are you thinking that you're such a bad person that you don't deserve this? Are you calling yourself names or criticizing yourself, such as telling yourself you're not doing it right? Or are you saying to yourself, I'll probably fall apart, or I'm stupid? Or are you believing in myths about interpersonal effectiveness? For example, thinking that people who make requests are weak, or that only wimps have values. If you decide that no, your worries, assumptions, and myths about interpersonal effectiveness are not getting in the way, then you can continue on to number 6. If, however, they are getting in the way, we encourage you to challenge the myths, check the facts, and do opposite action all the way. Once you've tried these strategies, record whether it helped or whether it didn't help. And lastly, question 6, is the environment more powerful than my skills? Ask yourself if the people who have what you want or need are more powerful than you. Maybe the people commanding you are more powerful and in control. Maybe others will be threatened if you actually get what you want. And think about whether others have reasons for not liking you if you get what you want. If you decide that no, the environment is not more powerful than my skills, then you don't have to continue on in section 6. If you think that maybe yes, the environment is more powerful than my skills, we would suggest you then try problem solving, find a powerful ally, and maybe also practice radical acceptance. And after you've tried these 3 strategies, again, record whether it helped or whether it didn't help. By the time you've worked your way through all 6 questions, you should have a clearer idea of what went wrong and how to improve your effectiveness next time. Even if just one of these sections gave you a helpful strategy, that's progress. If you get to the end of the worksheet and still feel confused or stuck, go back to the beginning and walk through each question again, maybe more slowly this time. Often, with a bit more reflection, the answer becomes clearer the second time around. Thanks for watching, and keep practicing with your DBT skills to build your life worth living.